Hey everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I have filmed a video, but today I'm back and I want to talk about why stelliums in your birth chart suck. Basically why they're challenging, because they are, and if you don't have a stellium anywhere in your chart, you won't really understand how challenging they are. Stelliums are hard aspects because conjunctions, even though they're blending the energies together, it's still a hard aspect. A conjunction already on its own is a very potent aspect in your personality and in your character. But if you just pile on the planets together in a conjunction, it makes it even more challenging. Especially if you have a stellium of planets that are all actually conjunct to each other. That's even harder to deal with or to figure out. So some people say that stelliums are 3 or more planets, some people say 4. I could see it being 3, but to me a stellium is 3 or more if it's in the same sign and house. And I go by the equal house system, so that's what I think a stellium is. Same sign, same house, 3 or more. Really 4 or more, because 3 can kind of be a little like mellower, but especially if they're all next to each other in one way or another. Even if one is a little bit further away, but the other 2 or 3 are conjunct, that's a stellium, especially that. So the reason why stelliums are so complex and challenging is because they're basically, what they're showing is contradictions. Stark contradictions in a person's personality. So we have a lot of planets that are all representing a different part of your personality and directly mixing with 1 or 2 other planets. So they show up as different needs, different parts of yourself, different traits not being supported by another part of yourself, another trait that is actually like right next to it, and it's together, they're working together, but they don't support each other because they're contradicting each other, if that makes sense. So say you have, like, I know people like in the generation of Neptune and Uranus conjunct, and even Saturn in there too for the older ones. If you have personal planets mixing with those outer conjunctions, the outer planet conjunctions, it's like the basic traits of your character and your personality are all mixing with these conjunctions of the outer planets. Think of people who have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Saturn means one thing, stability, structure, limitation. Neptune is about escapism and fantasy and delusions. So already they're blending together in a way that is mixing so well. So it's working together, but the more you keep adding to that, or say you throw in a personal planet like Mercury or Mars. Mercury, the way you think, is contradicting itself because on one hand it's blending with Saturn, so it's kind of structured, but on the other hand it's blending with escapism and fantasy and dreams and not seeing reality clearly. So it's like reality and dream states. Do you see how it's contradicting? So that's why stelliums are confusing, especially when they are involving personal planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, because those personality traits aren't being supported by each other. The planets in general in a stellium that are all conjunct to each other, they're just not being supported. They're contradicting themselves because they're blending in ways that are shifting a lot. It's like you're one way here, another way here, and another way here, and all together you're all of these ways, all of these different contradictions. And then you also have to consider the sign as well. Like, all of these contradictions are showing up within the sign that it's in. And then the house too. So that adds complexity. It makes it so that people with a lot of planets in a stellium, they don't always act consistently. You could be in one part of the stellium, you know, some planets conjunct to each other, and then it'll shift to the other conjunction right next to it, if that makes sense. So these people can kind of not know what they are more of, or who they are, what they blend with more, because they're also right next to it. They're also at the exact same time another part of that stellium. So it's kind of like feeling a lot of different things at once and not really being able to pinpoint one and stick with it, because at the same time you're another part of yourself, you're feeling another thing that doesn't really support the other one, if that makes sense. It's all very contradicting, but that's how these stelliums can occur. And especially because stelliums put a heavy focus on one part of your life and of your personality. What the sign and the house represents, all of these little parts of yourself are playing out these contradictions within the realm of what the sign and the house represent. So it makes it very difficult to see beyond that area of your life to understand the other parts, especially like the opposite. So they always say if you're very heavy on one house or one side of your chart, to try to go to the opposite to balance yourself out. And that's a good idea, but there's always going to be like those inconsistencies in your character that you have to recognize them when they pop up, when they come up for you. Recognize it for what it is so that you can meet that need on its own and have a place for each of these little contradictions within the stellium. So hopefully this kind of helped you understand stelliums and why they can actually be kind of challenging. Let me know what you think, and thank you for watching.